Hi, in this video for the hands-free crossbody, we are going to be talking about adding these metal loop connectors. They actually attach your handle to the bag. They're quite sturdy and they're easy to attach, much easier than trying to sew your handle to the side of the bag. Before we do that, I'm going to talk about your side seam. You want to have already sewn your side seam, and that seam is sewn on the outside. One thing to make sure is that you've matched your pocket bottom seam line, front and back, before you sew that up. When you sew, you don't have to backstitch at the bottom, but backstitch at the top, because that's where most of the stress will be on your bag. So now on to the loop connectors. These loop connectors are by Sally Tomato, and they are called textured loop strap connectors. They come 4 to a package. You will only be using 2 on a bag, so you can make 2 bags when you purchase the loop connectors. The loop connectors attach to the bag similar to a magnetic snap, where you have a prong that comes out of the back, and you put backings. Once you've pushed these prongs through to the inside of the bag, you add these backings. Now, when you get the loop strap connectors, the prongs will be flat, so you just have to bend them up at a 90-degree angle. So to position them on the bag, you can follow the directions in the pattern. But you want to position them on the bag. You're just going to slide those prongs on the side of the bag, and the top of the loop strap connector wants to be about, let's see, I'll turn this, about a ½ inch above the top of the binding. On one side, just mark where the prongs hit the bag with chalk. Fold this flat and mark a chalk line all the way across. Now, you're going to have to poke holes through your binding. So what you can do is you can use a seam ripper to do that. But I like these leather awls. Now, these leather awls come usually with 4 different tips. I like to use the widest tip. If you can see, this is the actual widest tip of the 4. And what you'll do is you'll take your tip. Be very careful. Don't put your fingers behind it. But you're going to push this awl right through. And I like to twist it as I'm pushing it through. And you'll make 4 holes, 1, 2, and then 2 on the other side. Now, my husband just made a great point, which is not in the pattern, but take your awl in order to make sure everything's lined up and push it right through to the other side. That way, these holes are all lined up. So when you slide your prongs on, everything's nice and even. So what you're going to do next is, I don't know what the best way to show this, but you're going to take your prongs and you're going to slide them through those holes that you just made. Now, this may take some wiggling and some finesse, so just take your time in trying to stick those prongs through those holes. There we go. 1 more hole to go. I think we're all the way through. I'm going to try and show you. So if you can see that, the 4 prongs are all the way through to the back. Now, once they're in there, you're going to take the backings. And I like to put, I put it on the top first, and then I just slide it on the bottom in whatever hole is closest to that lower prong. And then you will just bend, push that as far down as you can, and then bend the prongs in. So you'll have two backings. When you're finished, it's going to look like that. Now, in a later video, we'll talk about covering this hardware. You don't have to, but I find it's neater on the inside of the bag to cover the hardware. So next up will be a video on the handles, and then a video on covering that inside hardware.